Okay, first of all, this is my mom, Tracy. She's a little nervous.
Wait, what do I do? Don't say I'm nervous.
You can say hi.
Hi.
So I asked on Instagram a week or two ago just if anyone had any questions for a therapist, because I think it's super interesting that people don't have a lot of access to counseling and mental health services, and I'm gonna utilize what I have at home, which is my mom, and I just thought it'd be fun for her to answer some questions that people might have concerning mental health or the new year or just anything in general. So first of all, what kind of counselor are you? Or what do you do?
I'm what you call an LPC, which is a licensed professional counselor, and I actually work with people through the lifespan for anxiety, depression, life adjustments, transitions, all of that.
So do you like focus on a certain thing or a certain population, or you just kind of see everyone? I don't even know some of these.
My kids don't even know what I do at work.
I feel like you're so uncomfortable. just relax.
Yeah. No, in my early days,
Aunt Christy that sees this.
yeah, hi Aunt Christy. In my early days, I worked in a family center. So our clients were actually children under the age of 18 from 4 to the age of 17 and their families. So in that early work, I got experience just working with people of all ages, really, all parts of the family. So, so I've just carried that forward in my professional work. So I actually have a certification for play therapy, which is working with the younger kids, but also really, really enjoy working with adults as well.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Also, sorry if you hear the washing machine in the background. It's Sunday, so we're doing all of our laundry. Okay, let me find these questions.
First, can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to say that this is in no way counseling. As with a professional license, I am obligated to tell you that this is in no way counseling, that these questions and answers probably are overgeneralized for one specific person. So if there are more, things that you want to explore with any type of question or with any issue that you might be having, then it's best to seek out a counselor in your area.
Yeah, and I might chime in on a couple things too, just because I have a lot of thoughts, but I am in no way a counselor or a therapist or anything of the sort. I'm also super passionate just about holistic health, and mental health is a big part of that. So I guess we'll start out broad. We also have our emotional support beverages. Mm-hmm. I would have my coffee, but I already had one this morning, trying to cut back.
So I just have my warm tea.
Mm-hmm. Okay, So how do I know if I should go to therapy?
Gosh, that is pretty broad. That's a really good question though, because a lot of people wonder, should I contact a counselor? We even have people call our office sometimes and say, that I don't really think that I maybe have a reason to come to counseling, but I think I'd like to see a counselor. So my answer to that is, if you take your car into the mechanic to get oil changed and tires rotated, then, we do these things for our car, that's maintenance. We should do these things for ourselves. So that's what I think. I think everyone really could use a counselor, is my answer. Now, there are reasons to go to counseling. Okay, there are reasons to go to counseling that are, maybe just self-growth, or you want to push yourself in a certain area and you want to have that person on your side that's not emotionally connected to your life, which, that's really helpful. And then there are maybe some more severe reasons where somebody might be experiencing some symptoms, of maybe a mental health disorder. And, of course, that is definitely a reason to seek counseling. So my answer really is, counseling really is so broad, and we meet each person where they are. And so we just work with the person that comes and walks in the door and just help you along your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I personally think no one is struggle-free, and mental health is something kind of like physical health that you have to work on every day. It's kind of like an aspect of hygiene in a sense, and it's something that a lot of people overlook just because it's not physical and you can't see it, or you might get accustomed to a certain lifestyle, or I don't know, you might have a baseline that you think is healthy and you don't realize until you go see a professional that, like, I don't know, it could be so much better, or maybe you could process things in a healthier way. So I personally think it's great for everyone.
I think so too. I want to add to that, Kayla, because I think sometimes we get used to what our struggles are every day, and that becomes our normal. And sometimes things just don't have to be so hard. So
yeah, but also life is, anyway, okay, I don't know, I'm about to go into soapbox.
yeah.
Okay, so I don't really know where to start. I guess this one I feel like is pretty relevant to a lot of people around my age right now. How to stay motivated in a work from home environment when you're very people oriented.
Gosh, that has been such a huge deal lately, especially with COVID, right? Everybody going virtual. So this is a good question too. We actually get a lot of this, and I think at first so many people were excited to start working from home. It was going to be great, and I can work from home and be on my own time and do my own things. But as the time has passed, a lot of people really are struggling with this one. So I'm not sure in this question, if this person might be wondering how to stay motivated just with work and how to get work done, or maybe just in day-to-day life. But I'm just gonna start with just being focused and motivated with having a home office that's in your home, and you don't get up and go anywhere, and you wake up and you log on and you're at work, and then you log off and you're home. There's really no boundary there. So what some people have had luck with is just creating that division between work and home. So maybe you get up in the morning and you do something that is your ritual to get ready for work before logging right on to your computer to be at work, if that makes sense. Something that kind of simulates that get up, leave, and go on a drive to work. Maybe it's, have coffee, have meditation, walk around the block. Just do something that's kind of a soft start to the day before you log on to work. And then take breaks, take breaks, go to a coffee shop, meet a friend for lunch. We forget to do those things when we're working from home. Sometimes people will be really isolated for the whole day. And when you're going to an office, maybe you talk to somebody while you're getting a cup of coffee, or you might go to lunch with someone because you're there and they're available. So I think it takes a little bit more effort, but make plans with friends and go to lunch and break up the day.
No, I was thinking that's true, because there are small things throughout the day, like not even meeting someone for plans, but there are small, just interactions throughout the day, like ordering coffee, that you don't necessarily get in a work from home environment.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. So I think we have to be a little bit more intentional about those things, about creating those breaks and social time to stay motivated.
Yeah. The dogs might start barking at any moment in time. Should we go let them out?
I'll let them out.
Okay. You might hear some dog barking in the background. Yes. That's just how it is around here.
That's Rocky.
So can't avoid that. Although that's a little excessive. Okay, this one, are you letting him back in? No, I think he's fine. Okay, this one is kind of related, and it's how do you deal with burnout, especially in COVID age? So burnout, I guess, is the focus.
Yeah, so
that one.
Burnout in general in the COVID age, I guess. Gosh, have we all felt some of that? It's like if I could have $1, or maybe even a penny, for every time someone said, well, because of COVID, right, this isn't happening, or this is happening. So burnout, I think what I'm seeing at work probably mostly is people trying to figure out how to live and, still participate in life and do things and have fun and be social in the age of COVID. It doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. So it looks like something that we manage, and I think that kind of the same thing is one huge thing that I find people do that are working from home is having their news on a constant cycle, right? On the TV in the background maybe. And if there's one piece of advice I could give, I would say turn that off. Maybe catch up on the pertinent news for the day in the morning for a few minutes, just so you know what's going on. But that constant loop of everybody's opinions and what's going on in the different media stations, it's a lot. It's a lot to digest. And so we don't even think maybe it's affecting us, but even if you're hearing it and you're doing something else, it still gets into your brain. So I think that for that, maybe just turn that off. Do some things that you enjoy, listen to music, exercise. I know it's hard for people that don't like to exercise to hear that one, but exercise really does so many things for your health, for your brain, for your mental well-being, for your energy and your focus. So I would say just take care of yourself and be intentional. Make plans with friends. Live in COVID. Just be safe.
I feel like for burnout specifically, it would be so easy for someone who does work from home for work to become your life. And I think with both of those questions, a huge answer for that is just kind of setting boundaries. And in my experience, I've learned that setting boundaries is a form of self-respect. And so sometimes maybe I don't really know where I'm going with this, but basically maybe if you want to work from 9 to 5, set a timer on your phone, or just make sure you're working within those windows. And then maybe after 5 p.m. you don't check your email, or you don't log on, or you just don't allow yourself to think about work or do work because you wouldn't in a not COVID time, if that makes sense. So maybe schedule, like you said, kind of walks throughout the day, or I don't know.
Yeah, kind of like the last question with the burnout for work. It's not only creating like your soft start to the day, but also your hard stop for the work day. Just like if you were in the office and you would log out, turn off your computer and leave. There's a transition period. I think the transitions are really important,
Yeah. Also, something beneficial that I've noticed from being at home, I haven't been working from home. Well, I guess I kind of have, but I've mostly been studying from home. Something that is beneficial from working from home is that you can just go on a walk at any time, like you mentioned. And the sun and vitamin D is just so good for your body and your health and your mind. And sometimes a 10 or 15 minute walk is really just what you need to kind of reset your mind and reset your mood for getting more productive work done afterwards. Okay,
Yeah,
this one is kind of in the same umbrella of topics, and it's goal setting and staying motivated. And that's not necessarily COVID related, but just in general.
Goal setting. Oh, let me let it rock.
Okay. Dog intermission.
Okay, goal setting and staying motivated in general.
Yeah, like maybe how to be consistent.
Yeah. So goal setting, I think it's really important to start with a goal, obviously. And there's that cliche phrase that's so cliche, I know, but a goal without a plan is only a wish, Kayla.
You're not supposed to use cliches in the healthcare.
Anyway,
cliches don't help people.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
So, setting a goal, starting really small. So you have your broad goal, right? It's the direction, it's the destination that you're going, but to create some small doable steps that sometimes we even take baby steps, right? Even if you take a baby step in the right direction, you're going in the right direction. But just knowing that goal is ahead of you, we have decisions that come up all day long. And so it helps us to have that goal. And as our decisions pop up, we can make even small decisions every day that kind of lead us toward achieving that goal. So I would just say sometimes people get caught up in black and white thinking, the all or nothing. If I don't do everything that I set out to do today, then it's all failed, and why even work on this? That kind of thinking. We call that distorted thinking. So even if give your grace. I think grace is huge with goal setting. Maybe you do part of what you wanted to do that day, and maybe you didn't do all of it, and that's okay. There's tomorrow. So I think just baby steps and giving yourself credit for the effort that you do put in.
Something
You'll eventually get there.
I'm very goal oriented. Like, I love setting goals for myself, and
She does.
Yes, I do. But it's really hard when you don't meet a goal that you set for yourself. And something I learned through a podcast that I listened to, I forget who even it was talking about it, but he said whenever you don't meet certain goals that you set for yourself, it kind of deteriorates self-trust, and that's like the most like toxic thing that you can do to yourself, because it's easier to not trust other people than it is to not trust yourself. And then whenever you set goals for yourself in the future, you already know in the back of your mind that you might not meet them, and then again it deteriorates your self-confidence. So something, I agree with you, setting like baby steps rather than a big overarching goal makes it easier to stay consistent. And then something that we do in the nursing world too is called SMART goals, and I had to look up, I had to refresh my memory of what it was, but it has to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So if you really wanted to reach a goal, rather than I don't know, rather than saying I'm gonna run a marathon at the end of the year and not really knowing what the smaller steps are gonna look like, it makes it a lot harder and a lot more daunting of a goal, or a lot more daunting to achieve, rather than if you were to say, like, make it more specific and smaller and say, I am going to be able to run a 5K by this date, and then just go from there. And it makes it seem a lot more attainable and easier to work towards, I guess.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on that. That's very true. And creating that self-trust. If you make a deal with yourself, believe yourself, right? Believe yourself and do it. But also, I think the grace component is really strong with setting goals, because let's face it, sometimes we'll set a goal, and as you're working towards the goal, maybe it's not something that is good for you or you should be doing, you know? So it's okay to reevaluate a goal and make sure it still fits for you. And if it doesn't, then it's okay to abandon a goal for some reason that's maybe important to your health or well-being or whatever, right? So,
and this is kind of a harder approach, but if it is a goal that's really important to you, I mean, you're not going to be motivated every day. No human is. That's just not realistic. And so it might come down to discipline more than motivation, because motivation is a feeling. And I mean, especially during COVID, I can speak for myself that I have not been very motivated to do much of anything lately, and it's come in waves. Some weeks I really am, and some weeks I'm really not. So sometimes it might just come down to discipline and how important it is to you. So, okay, tips for managing seasonal depression.
Gosh, seasonal depression. You know, seasonal depression. This is interesting, because a lot of times people, they think of seasonal depression and, you know, the rainy season or winter. Gosh, you know, when it starts getting dark at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, it does, it does kind of change your habits in the evening. But there are also people that have seasonal depression other seasons of the year. So I think that what's really important is just, again, it's like self-care. You know, don't, get yourself out. It's kind of like what Kayla was saying. Maybe if you're not motivated for something, it's creating those habits and the discipline because you know that it helps you feel better. Sometimes, like, even just like taking a walk around the block, it's like you don't really feel like taking a walk around the block. But if you can make that small, doable step of, I'm just going to put my tennis shoes on and walk out the front door, and maybe I'm just going to walk to the neighbor's mailbox and see how I feel, right? Mm-hmm. By the time you get to the mailbox, sometimes you think, you know what, I think I can go to the corner of the block. So I think it's just continuing that, the small achievable goals, and pushing yourself to do something you don't really feel like doing, even something really tiny, because once you change directions and do something different, your brain changes and motivation changes. And so I think that's for me, I think that's probably the most important.
Yeah, small steps are really helpful, I feel like, with that.
Yeah.
From a scientific perspective, and I might butcher this because I don't remember, I remember learning about it and I don't necessarily remember all the details, but since in winter the dark hours are longer than the daylight, it kind of signals something called the pineal gland in your brain to release more melatonin, and maybe it's not specifically melatonin, I can't remember, but kind of those sleepy inhibitory neurotransmitters, because the dark is kind of telling your body that it's time to rest, and that's not really the case in the winter. Sometimes it's time to do things and it's still dark outside. So I think sticking to a schedule and kind of reintroducing that circadian rhythm in the morning, open your blinds, make sure you're getting light during the day, and then like making sure that your bedroom is a nice, peaceful, dark place to sleep. Yeah. But schedule is super important with that, and also just leaning on your friends. I think so many people struggle with seasonal depression, even if it's not as severe as depression. I think like a seasonal mood disorder, I don't even know if that's a thing, but
yeah, it can be.
I think it's something that's super relatable, and so maybe leaning on your friends and talking about it helps. And it never helps to just be sad alone in your room when it's dark. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. And I think even telling a friend, connecting with a friend, like what Kayla said, and let a friend hold you accountable in a way. So let a friend know that, hey, this is a hard time of year for me. and I find myself getting in a rut and not wanting to do things. So
Yeah.
can you call me more often, or just make me get out? You know, just maybe a good friend that you can trust, that you can share that with, that you can count on to give you that extra phone call or that extra push.
Someone to check in.
Yeah.
Okay, these next few questions are a little bit more specific. So, okay, what impact does expressing gratitude have on the mental well-being of the receiver and the giver?
Oh gosh, I love this one. The impact that gratitude has on the receiver, and I'm glad that he qualified the receiver and the giver.
Well, it's technically anonymous, so they.
Oh, sorry, they.
They. Okay, can't continue.
Yeah, because, okay, so, you know, we all hear, there was, you know, a buzz for a while, and probably still, about gratitude journals and, you know, thinking of what you're thankful for and what you can give gratitude for every day, as just a positive mindset, and to remember that we do have things that we're grateful for. Even if it's my warm cup of tea on a cold day, I can be grateful for that today, right? But on this, when I hear the receiver and the giver, I think being grateful for something maybe someone has done for you and sharing that, how that's impacted you or helped you, right? So being able to let someone know, hey, that really meant a lot to me that you folded my clothes that have been sitting on the counter, and you know, I've had a busy day and that really meant a lot. So it means a lot to me, and it's a gift to me, but also it's a, you know, like a dopamine boost for the person that gave it, for the person that did it. So even when you're doing something for someone else, you get, you know, the chemicals change in your brain that give you a feel-good feeling. And that's why a lot of times when people are struggling with depression or, you know, kind of in a rut, a lot of times it helps people to get outside themselves and go volunteer.
My camera shut off, so we got a little interrupted. But
yeah, so not only, you know, if someone's kind of in a rut or maybe struggling with some depression or going through a rough transition, to get outside of ourselves and go maybe volunteer for an organization or just a local, you know, community nonprofit, or even just a neighbor. You know, it helps us get outside of ourselves, which gives us that feel-good feeling of doing something for someone else, and then also while blessing the person that you're doing something for.
Yeah, I think it also comes down to love languages too, and sometimes it means a lot for someone to hear words of affirmation of what they are doing is recognized and appreciated. So
Definitely.
My camera is about to die, so we're gonna just get through these last couple. Truly asking for a friend, how to deal with a friend that's jealous of your serious relationship.
This is pretty broad, so I'm just gonna give it my best shot. So someone that's, now I'm not sure if it's jealous of the person, or maybe just the time that you're spending with someone else. I see that a lot with friendships and relationships, when say someone starts to have a serious boyfriend or girlfriend and they start spending all their free time with that person. A good friend can have some jealousy because maybe they used to spend that time with you. So I would say just making sure that you're nurturing your friendships while you have a serious girlfriend or boyfriend also, because we know sometimes your serious girlfriend or boyfriend turns into your forever, and sometimes they don't, but your friends are there. Your friends are there if you nurture those relationships over the span of life.
Yeah, and I would say communication, it really comes down to communication, because I have learned also from personal experience that when you hold things in, it kind of creates resentment. So maybe your friend is like being rude or not treating you well, and then you kind of build this resentment towards them, or vice versa, whatever, instead of just openly addressing like, hey, I see that you've been acting different around me lately. Like, I don't know, just kind of opening up the can of worms and talking about it, it's like a pressure. I'm losing my words there.
But maybe it's something like, just like, hey, I'm noticing that,
it's like a pressure cooker.
Yeah, that maybe things feel different lately. Is everything okay? I think just checking in with a friend, is everything okay?
Yeah, or maybe sometimes there are just people that genuinely don't want the best for you, which I hope it's not that situation, but sometimes in life you do have to maybe you grow out of a friendship, or maybe you realize that person, there's actually no reason. Maybe you are nurturing that friendship and you still have this boyfriend and they're still acting that way, and then maybe it's time to just grow apart. That happens in life, and it's a really sad thing, but that's why open communication is so important, so that you can kind of like get to the bottom of why that's happening.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, how many sessions should premarital counseling be?
Gosh, first of all, good for you for even thinking about premarital counseling. I'm not sure everybody really does that, but everyone should really. And that's really going to be different for every couple. You know, there are some premarital counseling programs like Prepare and Enrich that have sort of a set, I think it might be 6, 8, 12, you know, whatever the sessions are, and they kind of focus on something different each session. But really, depending on the couple, there are going to be different things that are going to come up in your premarital counseling. So I don't think you can really put a number on that, but I mean, I think it's very, very important to do it, right? Because you explore all of these opinions and ideas and beliefs and counseling that maybe wouldn't come up until you've been married for 10 years and then you're faced with something. So
I have a couple friends that have gone through it, and I think for the most part they went on average maybe like 6 to 8 times, and each time it was kind of a different topic. The therapist would send them home with some sort of homework to do, and maybe one session was about finances, one session was about, I don't know, I've never done it, I've never been married, but I think it is a great idea. Not yet.
Yes.
Okay, and last question, how did you get into counseling, like education and licensing, just kind of in broad terms, because I know that you can talk to this person in more detail, but
yeah,
what was your path to counseling?
So my path to counseling, so my undergraduate degree was actually in business, so marketing, you know, buyer behavior. But then I always knew that I wanted to be in the counseling field, but I also knew that with a bachelor's degree, I wouldn't be able to practice until you have that further education and licensing. So I ended up getting a business degree and working for a couple of years, and then going to a program here I started my counseling program in 1993, so that shows how old I am. But in the area where I was living, Plano, Dallas area, there weren't really a lot of counseling programs that had night classes, and I was married and starting to have babies. So I actually went to Amberton University, and they had night classes, which was such a blessing for me. So I did it slowly. I did it as I could, in between like having babies and being a mom. So we do it at night, and eventually, like those baby steps like we talked about earlier, sometimes they were babier than others, but eventually I got there. So yeah. So that was my path, and I just went right into working for a private practice and then opening a private practice. And if anyone, there are so many programs now around in the area, it's become a lot more available to people to get this type of education. So if anyone wants more detailed information about the different paths that you can take, let Kayla know and we'll reach out to you.
Yeah, let me know if anyone wants to see any more videos with her too.
Oh gosh.
Well, covering different topics, and I think that could be fun.
Yeah.
Because you're probably a wealth of information on that kind of stuff. And did you start out at a shelter for domestic abuse?
I did. I actually did.
Where did you go to?
I actually, worked in the family center for part of my student work, but I also, for my internship.
Okay guys, so my camera died. I knew it would. We're finishing this video on my phone.
We're trying to get through this.
It's a little crooked, but maybe let's see if I can. Okay, so I cut off again, but you were basically talking about where you started and your path, and I'm sure you could talk about that for hours.
Yes, about Hope's Tour.
Yes.
The domestic violence, yeah. So to be a counselor, after you graduate into your clinical hours and your practicums and all of that, you have 3,000 practice hours that are supervised. So
that's more detailed.
I know. So for those 3,000 hours, I worked a couple different places, and Hope's Door is a domestic violence outreach shelter where we worked with women experiencing violence in their relationships and abuse, and educating women on really what abuse really is. It's not always just physical. It can be emotional and verbal. So something that I did. And helping women make safety plans and get into safe apartments and start their life, and
Yeah,
super rewarding.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any more questions about that, tell them your Instagram name in case they want to message you, or your
What is my Instagram name? Isn't that horrible? So my Insta is Brightway, I think it's B-Way Counseling is my Instagram.
I'll link it.
We will link it.
And then she has like a Tracy Cohen, TRECI Cohen. And also, if you ever want to schedule an appointment with her or it doesn't have to be her. She has other therapists at her practice too. Tell them how they can find that.
Yes, www.brightwaycounseling.com is our website, and we have all of our wonderful therapists, and we all sort of practice in, a little bit different areas. Wonderful therapists and counselors, and you can request appointments right online.
Well, I think that's pretty much it. Maybe we'll film another one of these videos because it was fun. We're in such a hurry right now, so maybe I'm sorry. I'm sorry that felt a little rushed. Thank you guys for watching if you did, and maybe we'll do some more with my mom coming up, and she'll get a little bit less nervous. You're not nervous.
No, I hope the information was somewhat helpful. And if anyone needs any information or has questions or needs direction on how to find a professional, reach out. There's help out there.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.